Hello, and welcome to Chapter 8, Emotions. Emotions are very important. They do a lot to help and to hinder our life. There's something called emotional intelligence, which is the ability to understand and manage one's own emotions and to be sensitive to others' feelings. And some of us are much better at this than others. So what exactly are emotions? There's a physiological changes that happens to us when we have strong emotions. So fear could include increased heartbeat, rise in blood pressure, increased adrenaline, elevated blood sugar, slowing of the digestive, dilation of the pupil. There's also nonverbal reactions. You can blush, you can start sweating, all those things. And there's a cognitive interpretation. Our mind kind of plays an important role in this. You know, we tend to look at things and it's like, oh, that's going to make me sad. And then there are verbal expressions about it. You know, putting those emotions into words help us manage them and realize what they are. But you have to realize that our word choice is very important. So if we say we're angry with somebody, are we really angry or are we annoyed or are we furious? Because it's the same feeling, it's the same emotion. So decide which it really is. So what influences our emotional expression? One is personality. Another is our culture. Our gender also does. And our social conventions and roles also does. And then social media will also. And our emotions are also contagious. You know, if you've ever worked in an office or in a store or something and somebody's crying, all of a sudden everybody's in a bad mood, right? So what are our guidelines for expressing emotions? At the most basic level, people who know how to share their feelings appropriately are healthier than those who don't. So the first thing you do is to recognize your feeling. You know, be aware of what's going on. Identify it. Then choose the best language. We don't usually do that. We usually say, oh, how are you doing? Good, bad, terrible, kind of thing. But on page 249 in my book, there's a whole list of terms for emotions. So let's say you're mad. You could be aggravated, angry, annoyed, confused, bitter, defensive, devastated, disappointed, disgusted, disturbed, frustrated, furious, horrible, irritated, miserable, mortified, uneasy, tense, resentful. All those are a better word to describe what you're feeling than just mad. So you can do it by a single word, I'm angry, I'm mad. You can also describe by what's happening to you metaphorically, like I'm on the top of the world, or my stomach's tied up in knots. Or you could describe what you'd like to do. It's like, I just want to give you a big hug. Or I would just want to run away and get away from all of this. And then you also need to share multiple feelings because sometimes you don't have just the same feeling. There are times where you'll feel different things, but you usually end up with lead with a negative one. So the other week I had friends coming from out of town. They were coming from LA on a Friday night, right? Before COVID. And they were like, oh, we're going to get out of work early, we should be there about 6 o'clock. And I'm like, you're not going to be here at 6 o'clock. Friday, traffic on the 10? They're like, no, we're going to leave early. We're going to leave the carpool lane, And I'm like, okay, whatever. So 6 o'clock comes, I know they're not going to be here. I call them, nothing. I figure, oh, then maybe they're in the Badlands, okay. 7 o'clock, nothing. 8 o'clock, nothing. 9 o'clock, nothing. Calling, the phones are all going to voicemail. 9:45, they come walking in the door with empty In-N-Out bags, all happy. Okay, so I have two emotions. One, I'm furious at them. You didn't call, kind of thing. The other one, I'm so relieved that they're okay because I thought they were like splattered on the 10, kind of thing. What did I lead with? Where the hell have you been? Right? Not, oh, I'm so happy to see you. Right? But you need to share both of those feelings. And then you also need to recognize the difference between feeling something and acting about it. Just because you feel something doesn't mean you have to act on it. In fact, sometimes it's best not to. And you also have to accept responsibility for your feelings. People don't make us like them or dislike them. You know, it's like when you say you're making me angry, no, you're feeling angry. No single person or event can cause another's reaction. You're choosing the reaction that you have. You don't say you hurt my feeling. feelings. Instead, say, I feel hurt when you do that. And then choose the best time and place to express your feelings. Often that first flush of anger, if you get woke up in the middle of the night by your neighbors running over there in your boxers and pounding on the door, probably is not your best way to handle the situation. So there are facilitative and debilitative emotions. Facilitative ones contribute to effective functioning, and our debilitative emotions hinder or prevent effective performance. So remember that our thoughts cause our feelings. So we have to get into our head to realize what we're thinking, and that's what's causing the feeling. So I was in this kitchen months ago, cooking up a storm with a beef roast, cutting it up, making something kind of thing like that. And I noticed that there was like blood on the floor, right? And I'm like, oh geez, I'm moving the meat around and there's blood on the floor. So I cleaned that up. And then it's like, God, there's blood on the counter too. I don't even remember the meat being over here. And there's blood in the potatoes. And why was the meat over there? And then all of a sudden I looked down at my hand and I sliced my finger open, right? Then all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, ouch, 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 that hurts so much. Because my thought took over my feelings. It didn't hurt until I saw it, right? That's like a little kid when they fall down and they look at you like, am I supposed to cry? And if you just say, oh, you're fine, they're like, oh, okay, kind of thing like that. So realize that. And the same thing even happens when somebody says, I love you. Your thought is going to control that. Is it going to be like, oh, I love them too, kind of thing, oh, how genuine delight, oh, I'm so happy. Or it's like, okay, what do they want? And you get a little angry with it. So this whole process of self-talk is essential to understanding these debilitative feelings that interfere with effective communication. Many debilitative feelings come from accepting a number of irrational thoughts that we call fallacies that lead to illogical conclusions and in turn to debilitative feelings. So there's a fallacy of perfection. And people who have that believe that any worthwhile communicator should be able to handle any situation with complete confidence and skill. Like as a communication major, I should be able to always communicate well, and I don't, right? So realize that everybody's going to make mistakes. The fallacy of approval. People go at great lengths to seek acceptance from others, even to the extent of sacrificing their own principles and happiness. This myth is irrational because it implies that some people are more respected and more likable because they go out of their way to please others, and that's not true. There's the fallacy of shoulds. We have an inability, those people have an inability to distinguish between what is and what should be. There should be more free time. We should be able to have classes on campus. We shouldn't be in a pandemic. The fallacy of overgeneralizations occurs when a person has a belief based on a limited amount of evidence. I'm so stupid, I forgot to do this kind of thing. Or it occurs when we exaggerate shortcomings. You never listen to me. Really? I've never heard a word you say. Oh wait, I just heard that. So obviously I do listen to you sometimes, right? The fallacy of causation is people believe that they should do nothing that can hurt or in any way inconvenience others because it'll cause undesirable feelings. The fallacy of helplessness suggests that forces beyond our control determine our satisfaction in life. I can't do this because of the kind of thing like that. Get rid of the word can't. Say you can't do it? No. I don't know how. Or I can't, or it's not yet, right? Not can't. And then the fallacy of catastrophic expressions, which is like Murphy's Law. It's a statement like, if I invite people to the party, they probably won't come. Well, if you don't invite them, I bet 100% they won't come, right? Or I'd apply for the job, but I probably won't get it. If you don't apply, you're not going to get it, for sure. So how do we minimize these debilitative emotions? First, monitor your emotions reaction, right? Realize you're having one of these debilitative emotions. Then note the activating event, what caused it. Record your self-talk. What's going on in your head? What are you hearing yourself say? And then dispute them. Be rational and dispute them. Because we want to maximize our facilitative emotions, the good things, not dwell on these debilitative ones. Have a good week.